Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jagannath Swami Nayana Pathagami, Nayana Pathagami, Bhavatu me. Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Baladeva Jaya Subhadra. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Ganga. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya. Jai Om Vishnupat Paramahansa Parivajagacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhu Pad Ki Jai Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya Acharya Guruvar Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Purushottam Mas Shri Jaganatha Rathyatra Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Gaur Premanande, Gaur Premanande. So, we welcome all of you to ISKCON Niagara. And today is Sunday, May the 17th, the first day of Purushottam Mass. Very, very auspicious beginning This is an extra month that comes after 3 years in our Vedic calendar. And its benefits were mentioned last week quite extensively by His Grace Vimal Prem Nitai Prabhu. So I will not say much about Purushottam Mass except that it one of the other meanings of Purushottam Mass, all known as Mal Mass, it actually takes away all the mal. Mal means dirty things. It is so auspicious. No matter how dirty our hearts are, no matter how sinful we are, it will take away if we simply uh, take to any spiritual process, it will be multiplied by thousands of times. So we should be taking full advantage of this month by chanting more, reading more, associating with Vaishnavas, and hearing Hari Katha. So that is the benefit. And Purushottam Mass, especially under charge of Krishna, uh, not any Devi Devtas or any other incarnations, but directly. What does Purushottam mean? I will make it a little interactive just to make sure that everybody's eh, and everybody can participate. And I will also encourage everybody to try to maintain silence. I'm going to be sharing some of the important secrets of the Rath Yatra. So the more we pay attention, the more benefit we can obtain. There are so many wonderful secrets that the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has revealed. So all leaders who are leading, whether different departments, they should all be present, especially when there is some special katha. That's my earnest request. So you all can get benefit because I will be asking questions. And if the audience cannot answer, then it is my good fortune that I will try and best to answer those questions. So don't think that we know everything. Ah, we have to be always be good learners. That is the proper system. Hmm? So, what does Purushottam mean? Yes, very good. The highest person or the highest being. Okay. Yes. Highest amongst men. Yes. Purusha, Utta. The main meaning of Purusha means one who is the enjoyer. Okay. This is the primary meaning that has been explained in Sanskrit. Srila Prabhupada has also mentioned. Uh, Krishna is Bhoktaram Sarva Yagat Tapasyam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Surut Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shanti Richati. Bhoktaram, he is the enjoyer. That is the meaning of the mool or the root meaning of the word Purush. We are all Prakriti or in that category. We are meant to be enjoyed by Bhagavan. Not that we become Bhagavan and we start exploiting material nature or we exploit different beings, entities, etc. And in spite of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita saying that I am the proprietor of all, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Sarva Lok Maheshwaram equals Jagannath. Jaga means, what means what? What does Jag mean? No. Jag means universes, creation. When we say world, we are limiting. There are millions and millions of Brahmans. In one Brahman, there is one very small earth. Can you imagine how many earthly planets are there? And out of the millions and millions of Brahmans that are all in the material world, the spiritual world known as Vaikuntha is 75% in creation. 25% is material. So we are minorities. And we are in a very, very small speck of one earth in one Brahman. So Jaga here means the entire creation of the spiritual worlds and also creation of the material worlds. So Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Ishwar means controller, Maheshwaram means a supreme controller. So who is that supreme controller? Lord Jagannath, Purushottam. uh, different names are there that uh, denotes that he is the enjoyer. Bhuktaram Sarva Yagya Tapasya. All yagyas, all tapasya, uh, whatever activities, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Vasudeva Para Veda, Vasudeva Para Maka, Vasudeva Param Jnanam, Vasudeva Param Tapa, Vasudeva Paro Dharma, Vasudeva Para Gati. If we are performing Vasudeva Para Veda, if we are studying Vedas, and if the ultimate goal is not Vasudeva Krishna, it is a waste of time. Vasudeva Para Yoga. If we perform yoga, what does yoga mean? Open again, it's open to the entire audience. We use this word yoga, right? What does yoga mean? Very nice. Connection with the Supreme Lord, having a connection. So, just Prabhupada said there are so many yoga clubs that they are charging money and they are simply teaching you how to sit and sleep. Meditation means you sit and sleep. What are they meditating on? Most of them, they teach you meditate on some light, you meditate on nothing. How is it possible? Prabhupada said, as long as we are living beings, we have to think about something, we have to meditate upon something. And the best meditation or the connection is Krishna. So that is the meaning of yoga. Vasudeva Para Yoga. Vasudeva Para Kriyaha. Any activity that we perform is for the pleasure of Krishna. If any activity that does not give pleasure to Krishna, it is Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam. It is a waste of time. Vasudeva Paro Dharmo. The ultimate goal of Dharma is Krishna. Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje Ahaituki Apratiyata Jena Atma Suprasiddhiti. The ultimate Dharma of mankind, Savai Pumsam. Pumsam means mankind. Uh, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharma, not any small Dharma. Dharma that is related to family, dharma that is related to job, dharma that is related to our community, dharma that is related to our country. No. All these isms, socialism, patriotism, all this, we have to go beyond that. That is what our Shastras teach. So, Parodharma. What is that dharma? Parodharma is Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje. We have to perform all activities that culminate into pure devotional service of Adokshaja. Adokshaja is one name of Krishna. Adaksha means our senses, and Ja means Janma, Janmayate. So, one of the names of Krishna is that he cannot be perceived by our normal material senses. We will have to go transcend our material senses in order to understand Krishna properly. Yato bhakti ahaituki apratiyata. And what kind of bhakti that should be? Ahaituki. Without any material motivation. Without any material motivation. Unfortunately, in this Kali, there are very few who really teach us what real bhakti is. And we are most fortunate that we have somehow or the other come in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has sent his commander-in-chief of the Sankirtan movement, his Divine Krishna Prabhupada. And we are his followers. Otherwise, we would be lost. There are so many so-called spiritualists who misguide us. Prayana alpa ayushya manda sumanda mataya manda bhagya hi upadrita. Srimad Bhagavatam says that in this Kali Yuga, our lives are diminished, short. At the end of Kali Yuga, 428,000 years yet to go. 5,000 years approximately have elapsed. By the end of 428,000 years, our lifespan will be maximum about 30 to 32 years. That's all. Nowadays, people even cross 90 or even some of them cross 100. Alpa Aishya. Manda. They are lazy. Sumanda Matayo. Misguided. You go anywhere today, you ask, I have this problem. They will give you so many different solutions, except the guidance of pure bhakti to Krishna or Vishnu Tattva. And what kind of bhakti it should be? Not Gyan Mishra Bhakti, not Karma Mishra Bhakti. Unfortunately, I say this many times in my katha. Wherever we go, even in India and the Hindu temples here, they are at the end of the arti, they always sing Om Jai Jagadish Hare. And in that they sing Dhar Dhan Aave, Sukh Sampati Aave, Dollar Kamave, America Jave, Jai Jagadish Hare. That is not Shuddha Bhakti. When you are asking in exchange for material things, then that Prahlad Maharaj says in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, and I think it is in chapter number 5 or chapter number actually 8. He says, when Lord Nrsimhadev was very pleased with Prahlad, he says, Prahlad, ask me anything and I will give it to you. Ask me a boon. Ask me some Vardhan. And Prahlad says, Lord Nrsimhadev, I am not a merchant. मैं व्यापारी नहीं हूं. I am not a merchant that in exchange of devotional service, I will ask something in return. And a master is not a real master. He even chastises in one way Lord Nrsimhadev, who is ready to give something in exchange of bhakti. Then he is not a real master. What bold words. Amazing bold words Prahlad Maharaj is speaking. A master is not even a master in exchange of bhakti if he is offering something. So that is the line that we are in, Shuddha Bhakti. So Purushottam Mas means dedicating every activity for the pleasure of Krishna and his associates. And that way, it gives us a lot of benefit, almost like Kartik, month of Kartik, which is, whose month is it? Month of Kartik? Very nice. It's the month of Srimati Radharani. It is known as Urja month. So, coming to the, can you do it later? You can offer it later because this is online on YouTube and it really looks bad. Okay? It can be offered later after the class. And try not to create disturbance because this is a very serious matter that I'm speaking on. I'll really appreciate it. People can come and go, but my request is be concentrated on the katha. Because such katha is not said time and again. That is my humble request. Okay? Those who are coming late, they are already disturbing. On top of that, we are getting disturbed is also not fair. Okay? Everybody should be punctual. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kalo Asmi, I am time. And if we don't take the time, time will take us out one day. So we have to be very, very, and it is not because I am sitting here. Tomorrow somebody else will be here. We have to give that rapt attention. Out of Navada Bhakti, we had this topic going on for many weeks at ISKCON Niagara. What is the most best of all the 9 processes of devotional service? Shravanam. If we don't hear properly, we cannot do kirtanam. Kirtanam means to glorify, to chant. And if we don't do Shravanam and Kirtanam properly, we cannot do Smaranam. Because ultimately, Smaranam is the highest process of meditation, Smaranam of the form of the Lord. Our minds are so disturbed. Supposing if we take darshan in the temple, let's say deity, where there are deities, and half an hour later somebody asks, can you tell me what color was the Lord wearing, the dress? We don't remember. What kind of ornaments the Lord had? We don't remember. What kind of flute was he holding? We don't remember. Then how can we do dhyanam, smaranam? It is said, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's Gurudev, said that the best way of taking darshan of the Lord is not with our eyes, it's through our ears. One time, Srila Prabhupada, when he was actually a business person, he had a pharmaceutical business in Allahabad, and he was traveling, selling his products in different parts of India. and he was on his way to Allahabad, and the train stopped at Mathura station. And at Mathura, he got down. He did not continue to Allahabad because it was the month of Kartik, and he knew his Guru Maharaj was speaking Harikatha in a place called Koshi in the Chorasi Kos Mandal. So he immediately went there. Now the Raj Mandal Parikrama would be usually early in the morning till afternoon 2 p.m. and after that devotees will take prasad, maybe rest for 1 hour, and at 4 p.m. they would all gather to hear Harikatha. And at that time the choice was given by the administrators that those devotees who want to take darshan of the local temples, they can go. And those who want to sit and hear Harikatha, they can hear Harikatha. Guru Maharaj will be speaking. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, a lot of the devotees, majority of them went to take darshan of the local temples in Vraj. But just a few of them sat, including Abhay Charan, our Srila A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada remarked at that time, the real way to take darshan of the Lord is through the Harikatha. We can be sitting here in Niagara Falls, but we can be transported to Sri Vrindavan Dham. We can be transported to Jagannath Puri. We can be transported to so many transcendental pilgrimages just by simply Harikatha. And that is why I stress, as it is, I don't have much time and I have so much to cover. So many questions I have. In most of the places that I've given lectures, I just came back from India a couple months ago. In the last 5.5 months, I spoke about 120 lectures. And most places I ask these questions and they're not able to answer it. Not even leaders, not even speakers. And sometimes I feel, where are we heading? If we don't know our main tattva, if we don't know our main philosophy. So it is so important to hear Harikatha. So having said about Purushottam Mass, let us now enter into the secrets of Rath Yatra. So my question to the audience here is, question number 1, what is Rath Yatra? Please raise your hand if somebody quickly. Yes? Loudly, so people can hear online also. Thank you.
We take the Lord into our contested. We take them in the chariot and we bring them back to Vrindavan from Dwarka.
Very nice. Very nice. Yes.
But there are a lot of other things.
That is the real essence of Rath Yatra. So Rath Yatra is not something that we socialize. I've seen in many Rath Yatras, people are just interested in, okay, it's good to chant and dance, but without understanding why we are pulling the Lord's Rath. What is the main reason? Why does Lord Jagannath have big eyes? Why does he have almost no hands or feet? Okay, so we will discuss all these things. Of course, if I go into every person, then Venkat Prabhu will show me the time. So I would like to share as much as I can today. So there are 3 leelas that are connected for Rath Yatra. So let's first enter into the first leela. Once upon a time, there was a very great devotee king, Raj Rishi, known as King Indrajumna. And he was the king of the entire Bharatvarsha, and his capital was Avantikapur, which is today Ujjain. And he had heard about the form of Krishna known as Nil Madhav. He had simply, we are talking about Shravanam, he had not taken darshan. He had simply heard how beautiful he is. And inside his heart, he had the strong desire to take darshan. And he tried in different ways to find out where I can take darshan of Nil Madhav, but he could not find answers. One time in his kingdom, there is a place where he had built a lot of our great kings in India. Even today, if you go to Vrindavan, the great kings of Rajasthan, uh, they have built all the chhatras and all the ghats in Vrindavan. Even today, we find them. Keshi Ghat is a good example. Kamyavan, it's full of different ghats. Vimal Sarovar, so many to name. And why they did that? So that all the pilgrims who will come, they will be comfortable. They will get shade of the harsh sun. They will get water. They had made pyous. You understand pyao? Water arrangement so that they can. Uh, so all those arrangements were made. And once in his kingdom, there were two or three Shabaras or Adivasis who had come, and they were sitting and resting in the pilgrimage quadrant. And they were speaking slowly about Nil Madhav. And then everybody knew in King Indrajumna's kingdom that King Indrajumna wanted to hear about Nil Madhav, find out where he is. So immediately, the soldiers went and reported to King Indrajumna, my dear sir, we have two or three pilgrims that look like people residing in the forest. They are known as Shabaras or Adivasis. And they were talking about Nil Madhav. Immediately, king got excited. He left everything along with his ministers and Brahmins. They went to that spot where the soldiers had seen Nil Madhav's devotees that they were talking, those Adivasis. And when they reached there, they were not to be seen. They were gone. King Indrajumna was extremely morose, very sad. Find them. Where are they? Go around everywhere and find. They could not find. And King Indrajumna, being a devotee, felt so much separation that I almost had some information, but I cannot. And that is a devotee's heart. The highest mood of a devotee is separation. Separation creates the most sweetest union. This is the exclusive Siddhanta of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, which we cannot find in any other Vaishnava culture. Nama Gaur Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murte Vipralambhar Sambodhe Padam Bhojayate Nama. This is the pranam mantra of Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj. Vipralambhar Sambodhe, he is the ocean of separation, love and separation of Krishna. And all of them are, including Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. And as we proceed along in the Katha, we will try to touch upon that. That is why Narottam Das Thakur writes in his bhajan that we sing on the separation of our acharyas. Je anila prema dhana karuna pracho. Hena Prabhu kotha gela acharya Thakur. Where is that acharya, Vaishnava acharya, who had bestowed so much prema, Krishna prema? Hena Prabhu kotha gela acharya Thakur. Srinivasa acharya, where is he? Kaha moro sarup rupa, kaha sanatan? Where is Sarup Damodar Goswami, Sanatan Goswami? Where is Rupa Goswami? Kaha Dasa Raghunath Das Goswami, Patita Pavana. At the end, he's saying, Pashane Kutibo Matha, Anale Pashibo, Gauranga Gunera Nidhi Kotha Gele Pabo. I would like to beat my head on a piece of stone and I would like to enter a huge fire, killing myself. Why? Because not able to. Sangana Sanga Paibe. Because I'm not able to find their association. Kandiya, I'm crying and crying. Narottam Das Thakur says that. So that is what King Indrajumna felt. So at that time, he gathered all his soldiers, ministers, Brahmins, and he said that go east, go west, go south, go north, four parties. and you will get me the news of where is Nil Madhav. So, with some Brahmins, one set off in the north, one in the south, one on the west, and there was one particular Brahmin by the name of Vidyapati. He actually set out in the east direction. And they were given 3 months of time. How much? 3 months. Come back and report to me. The three parties that had headed north, south, and west, they came back in 3 months and they reported negativity that they could not find Nil Madhav. But King Indrajumna had some hope in his heart because still Vidyapati had not returned. Now, Vidyapati had gone in the east direction and he came to the Kshetra, now known as Purushottam Kshetra or Nilachal. And he entered into the deep forest at that time. And there he asked some of the locals there, the Adivasis or the Shavaras, who is your chief here? Who is your chief? So they pointed, that is the chief's house. Go there, that is his hut. So when he went there, Vidyapati, he knocked on the door, and one very beautiful young girl, she came out and said that, yes, I'm here to see the chief here, uh, Vasu. His name was Vasu. So, yes, he is my father, but he's not home. So, you can wait outside. He will come back in the evening. So, Vidyapati waited outside the hut, and come in the evening, there was an amazing fragrance that flowed from the forest towards the hut where he was waiting outside, going into his nostrils. And he felt a transcendental bliss. And when he saw an older gentleman who had come and entered that hut, he said, my dear sir, are you Vasu? He says, yes, I am Vasu. So I'm here to see you. So he said, please come in. And he told his daughter, that young girl, Lalita, please, he is our guest. Atithi Deva Bhava. Hmm? Serve him nicely. Serve him good prasadam. Take care of his needs. And then, after eating sumptuous prasadam, Vidyapati asked Vasu, Viswavasu, actually his name was Viswavasu, that my dear sir, I'm looking for Nil Madhav. Do you know about his whereabouts? Is he somewhere deep in the jungle? Where can I find him? So he just simply looked at him and kind of upset. And he didn't want to tell him anything. And actually, this Viswavasu would go early in the morning, deep into the jungle, and there was a very ancient temple where actually the deity of Nil Madhav was. But it was a secret. He didn't want to tell anyone except the some of the selected locals. They would know. Next morning, he left again and he came back again at evening with this amazing fragrance. And again, Vidyapati asked, my dear sir, can you tell me? He says, I don't know, I can't tell you. And like that, that happened for many days. But because he was a Brahmin, he was very much respected and he could stay as long as he wanted. He didn't say, you leave, stay, that's fine. Eventually, what happened? Vidyapati and Lalita, the daughter of Viswavasu, fell in love. And they decided that they will marry. So one evening, when the father came back, Vidyapati asked the permission of Viswavasu, can I marry your daughter? And Viswavasu said, what do you think, Lalita? He says, yes, my dear father, I would like to serve this wonderful Brahmin. So he felt very much elated and very happy because the Sabaras are considered lower caste in one sense, and the Brahmanas are considered the top class. So How can I ever get a nice Brahmin boy for my daughter? This is, in his mind, he's thinking this is Nil Madhav's mercy. So they got married. Once they got married, then in their privacy, Vidyapati asked Lalita one day, look, we are husband and wife. It is the Patni's dharma, the wife's dharma. There are no secrets between husband and wife. So where does your father go every day, early in the morning, and he comes back? And he comes back with this amazing fragrance. It's just out of the world. Please tell me. So she was a little bit hesitant, but again he reminded this is the a chaste wife's duty not to keep any secrets from the husband. So she finally said that my father actually goes to worship Nil Madhav. Then, when the father came back that day, Lalita started crying and telling, Father, if I tell you something, I hope you will not get angry. And if you get angry, I promise you one thing that, whatever I've told my husband, because it is my duty, I'm telling so. And if you stop me from doing my duty, I will give up my life. So that is the Brahmastra that a lot of women have. That- so we have to be very careful, especially males. So she said that I already told my husband about you're going to see Nil Madhav every day. And uh, he got very upset. Well, he could not do anything because he had promised his daughter that he would not get angry. So now the next step came. Next morning, when he was ready to go on his bullock cart, he said, my dear father-in-law, can I accompany you to take darshan of Nil Madhav? So he said, no, that's not possible. So again, Lalita comes to the rescue, says, Father, I will give up my life if you don't take my husband to have darshan of Nil Madhav. So then he says, okay, I will take him for darshan, but I will blindfold him completely. And he can sit on my bullock cart. Ready to go, father-in-law and son-in-law seated, son-in-law seated in the back, father-in-law driving the bullock cart. It was rainy season. And what Lalita did, as they were going, she packed something, some prasadam, and also she had one fistful of mustard seeds that she slid into the pocket of Vidyapati. Vidyapati understood that my wife is very smart. As my father-in-law is going to drive the bullock cart, I will be throwing a few mustard seeds along the ground. And because it is the rainy season, surely and slowly, the fine mustard flowers they are very yellow. Have you all seen a mustard field? Especially in Raj, in the springtime, in Vasant Ritu, they're all over. Radhakund, many places in Raj, Gokul, full of these fields. And they look so beautiful. That is why Vasant Ritu is yellow, the main color. Even the deities are dressed in yellow in Vasant Ritu, in the month of Vasant. So, like this, so like this, he went, and finally they reached that part of the forest where there was a very ancient temple of Nil Madhav. Outside the temple was a beautiful pond or a sarovar or a kunda. And he opened his eyes, and Vidyapati was shocked, pleasantly shocked, taking darshan of Nil Madhav. He just could not take his eyes off. And he sat on the banks of the pond, and his father-in-law said, you sit here and chant. So he chanted very nicely, and father-in-law went to get fresh flowers, etc., for puja. Now, while he was chanting, he noticed that because the pond was open and there's a huge tree trunk that was actually over the pond. And there was a crow sitting on it. There was a crow sitting on it. And the crow dozed off, jhabki, and fell into that kunda. And immediately what happened? He was surrounded by Vishnu Dutas, and he got an amazing form of a uh, Vishnu Lok personality, and they took him to Vaikuntha. So then Vidyapati said, "This is amazing way to go home back to Godhead." So he said, "Wow, a crow, which is such a lowly being, got liberated, and that too to Vaikuntha in a form of Swaparshi." Hmm? There are 5 kinds of liberation. Anybody knows? Vimal Prem Prabhu, what are the 5 kinds of liberation? Very good. What does Sahajya mean? No, that is Samipya. Sahajya means those who are merged into the Brahman. Those Rakshasas that are killed by Krishna or Krishna Vishnu avatars, they get Sahajya Mukti. They merge into the Brahman. Mayavadis, Brahmavadis. Sahajya, that's one Mukti. Samipya, next to the God, Lord. Sarupya, a form of the Lord. And Sarsti means opulence of the Lord. So he achieved that crow, such a bad soul in one sense, bad body, he achieved that. So he said, let me climb that tree and now I will jump into that kunda so that I will also go home back to Godhead. Huh? Very easy shortcut. He was about to do that and immediately Nil Madhav called. Hey, what are you doing? You have to live a very long life in my service. You should not think of going home back to Godhead. So this is one of the principles that I always mention, which is similar to what the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj is. When Lord Nrsimhadev was pleased, he asked him, eventually he said, okay, fine, deliver my father. 21 generations in the past and 21 generations in the future, all are liberated just because you are a devotee. That is why if we become good devotees, don't worry whether our parents, our friends, our family members, whether they take to Krishna consciousness or not. If somehow or the other we have some affection for them, Krishna will take care of them. That's what Nrsimhadev Bhagavan promised, 21 generations. So we can try, but let us not become very fanatical. And sometimes we curse our family members or our friends because they don't take to Krishna consciousness. No, it's okay. But if we have some affection, Krishna will have affection for that. That's one principle. So he said that take care of my father, that is already done. But still I want you to ask me to please me. So then Prahlad Maharaj says, okay, just to please you, my dear Lord. That is the pure devotional principle that Rupa Goswami and Naradji mentions in the Narad Bhakti Sutra and Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. Anya Abhilasata Shunya Jnana Karma Nasatam Anukulyana Krishna Anushilanam Tad Bhakti Uttam. What is Uttam Bhakti? Topmost Bhakti. Not the Karma Mishra Bhakti, Gyan Mishra Bhakti, Om Jai Jagadish Sare, Ghar Dhan Aave, Sukh Sampati Aave, Dollar Kamave, America Jave. No. Shuddha Bhakti. He says, if you want to give me really something, for your pleasure I will ask. I don't want to ask anything. Before I told you, I'm not a merchant. So he says that, my dear Lord, I have 2 desires. Desire number 1, and this should be a prayer that every devotee should aspire for. Every devotee should, following in the footsteps of Dharma. What is that verse? Dharmastha tatta nihitam goyam mahajana jena gatha sapanta. We should follow in the footsteps of Mahajans. And Prahlad Maharaj is one of the greatest Mahajans. So he says, my dear Nrsimhadev, may no material desires arise in my heart. Number 1. And number 2, My Guru Maharaj, Naradji, goes all over the creation of the universes, preaching Krishna consciousness, uplifting the fallen souls. I don't want to Vaikuntha. I don't want to go to Vaikuntha. I don't want back to Godhead. I want to simply assist my Guru Maharaj Naradji, who is saving so many souls. So for every one of us, and this is the prayer that I have personally in my life, not to go home back to Godhead. Simply, no matter where I am, to serve His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, birth after birth after birth after birth. Just like Prahlad Maharaj desires to serve his Guru Maharaj Naradji. That is the highest way. Shastra says, Srimad Bhagavatam, Swargeshu, Narkeshu, Apavargeshu, Samatulya Darshina. For a Vaishnava, whether Swarga, heavenly planets, Narka, hellish planets, Apavarga, Vaikuntha, Samatulya Darshina is equal. So, an intelligent person, none of our acharyas, if we look at their works, we look at their bhajans, they have asked to go home back to Godhead. Show me one instance. In fact, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, don't try to Sri Krishna. Perform your seva or service in such a way that Krishna will see you. This is the highest principle. Of course, Prabhupada in the beginning days, just like a mother or a father, entices their children. Beta, you do your homework quickly, I will give you an ice cream this evening. So immediately the boy or girl sits under. So in the beginning days, Prabhupada gave this allurement that you chant minimum how many rounds? Wrong, 16 good rounds. And follow the 4 regulative principles, and you will go home back to Godhead in this lifetime. But many places Prabhupada has said, back to Godhead. If Krishna desires, who can stop? That is why. What did Prabhupada do? What did Prabhupada do? It is there in his Pranam Mantra. About 7-8 years ago, we gave a seminar in Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan in Kartik on Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, Namam Vishnupada Krishna Vashtaya. First time ever in ISKCON as far as all the Prabhupada disciples had mentioned. And we were blessed that so many wonderful things that were coming to the heart, putting together the Goswami's teachings and Srila Prabhupada's teachings himself, we were able to speak on that subject matter. And in that we find the words Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale means what? He is so dear to Krishna that he came down to Bhumandal. That means he came from Golok Vrindavan. He didn't tell Krishna, Krishna, this is such a wonderful air-conditioned place. There are so many kalpa vrikshas. Whatever I desire, I can get. So comforts in Golok. Why you are sending me in that Bowery or in New York, in the dirtiest place? Why do you have to deal with that? No, Baba, no. But no, it is Krishna's desire, and he left without Radharani's desire. Yes, my dear lordships, as you wish. Anukulena Krishna Anushelana. Even at the expense of their own comfort, a real devotee looks at only the pleasure of their lordships. That is the gopis of Vrindavan. Even when we desire going to back to Godhead, and if we are mature enough, we think properly, in our maturity, that is also a subtle selfishness. And that selfishness, that is the reason why Vyasdev was unhappy. And that is why Naradji came and guided Vyasdev. I know the reason why you are unhappy. You have written all these Vedas, Upanishads, and so many auxiliary literatures, but in spite of that, you are unhappy. I know the reason, you don't know. Why? Because you have not compiled a pure devotional Shuddha Bhakti Granth or Shastra that deals with the wonderful pastimes of Krishna and Krishna's devotees, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. Because all you have done is fan the fire, put fuel in the fire of dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Naturally, people are inclined to do dharma or charity. Why? Because they want artha, wealth. That is the motivation mostly. And when they have artha, their calm, meaning their desires, material desires, are fulfilled. Right now, I have a scooter. If I get more money, I will buy a car. I have a nice, simple car, more money. I will buy two cars, but I will buy the latest model of Tesla. I will buy the latest model of whatever 17 plus iPhone. There is no end to it. Dharma artha kama. Please try to understand this principle. And ultimately, even after so many industrialists and so many rich people in this world, they have everything. They have many vacation homes all over the world, in Switzerland, in Thailand, in Tokyo, in New York, in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills, and so many places. Examples are there, many, like Michael Jackson. He had a own whole city called Neverland, but he was the most saddest person and he killed himself by taking an overdose. So if money could buy or make us happy with all the different material desires, why do so many people who have so much money in the stock market, they kill themselves? I don't know how many of you all know, but there was a very famous Hollywood actor, Robin Williams. Have you heard of Robin Williams? He was a comedian and he made everybody laugh. And you know how he died? He committed suicide by taking out his belt and hanging himself in his own closet. Somebody who made the whole world laugh, he died in the most miserable way, and he had so much money. So, dharma, artha, kama. And after all, when everybody has so much money and wealth, in spite of that, that internal happiness is not there, then they are looking for liberation, moksha. So then they will say, okay, give our entire industry, everything, assets to our children. Tells the wife, let us go to Haridwar, Rishikesh, Vrindavan. Why? Because I want liberation. So here everything is I. I will perform dharma or charity because it will give me artha, wealth. I will perform wealth. I will get more and more wealth so that my material desires. But in spite of that, my material desires are not fulfilled. Now I am looking for peace. So I want moksha or liberation. Who is the center? I, 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 and only I. There is no Krishna. And that is why Ved Vyas, none other than incarnation of Mahavishnu himself, was perplexed. And Naradji, a pure devotee of the Lord, who is, we are very proud to be in his sampradaya, Brahma Vidva Gaudiya Sampradaya. He is the second Acharya out of the 32nd, which is his Divine Krishna Prabhupada in our, he guided him. Srimad Bhagavata Purana Avalam Prema Pumartho Mahan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Mataidam Na Yatra Agraha Para. When he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva in the very second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, second verse, Srimad Bhagavata Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Pare Ishvara Sadhya Avardhiti Atra Krutavi Shushruvi Tatshana. One can arrest Krishna, like the gopis arrest Krishna, Mother Yashoda arrests Krishna, binds him in a similar fashion out of love, deep love. Tatshana, that moment when we have pure devotion in our hearts. So, like this, Vidyapati is stopped by committing, giving up his body, and finally he actually goes back home with his father-in-law blindfolded, and then he ends up back with his wife, and then he tells his wife that I must go. I have a fiduciary duty towards my king, King Indrajumna, and I will actually have to go. Father-in-law did not want him to go. He tried to even bind him up, lock him up in the room. Again, the same drama. I will kill myself. Lalita said that. So finally, he was let go. And when he came back, King Indrajumna was most excited when he saw his face. Tell me you have some good news. Tell me you have some good news. And he says, yes, my dear Lord, my dear King, I have taken darshan of Nilmada. Take me there right now. He didn't wait for anything. His chariots, his soldiers, his ministers, the Brahmins, everybody went. And by the time they reached that path that was created by the mustard seed flowers, had disappeared. And the entire tribal community had disappeared. gone in a flash. King Indrajumna was so sad. He said, I will kill myself. Because again, I did not get darshan of Nilmadhav. Again, the Nilmadhav came in sound form. He says, my dear King Indrajumna, please do not worry. I will very soon manifest myself and I will guide you how I will come very soon. Just wait. Very soon there will be 4 logs floating in the ocean. Mahambodes tire. Jaganatha Rathyatra, who knows that by heart? What is that line? Mahambodes tire kana karuchishi. What is that? Mahambodes tire. Mahambodhi means great ocean. On the banks of the great ocean, there will be these 4 logs coming. And you make sure that you pick them up, and I will direct you how my forms will be manifest to you. So, like this, the time came. He gathered a lot of his soldiers and went, and they saw 4 logs floating in the ocean. And they went inside, and as they were floating, he asked his soldiers, pick him up, and there was a golden chariot waiting to take them into his palace. But nobody could lift him. Nobody. Thousands of soldiers gathered and they could not lift even 1 log. Then immediately from a distance came the Vidyapati, his wife Lalita, and Viswavasu, and walked towards the ocean. And they grabbed in the middle and the sides and lifted it just like a child lifts a toy and put it on the golden chariot, all 4. And finally, taking them, and at that time, Nilmadhav in sound vibration came to King Indrajumna, call for the best carvers in this universe, and I will guide them how to make my form. And many carvers came, sculptors came, and they tried chiseling with big hammers and chisels, and the chisels broke. They could not even put a 1 dent in those wooden trunks. Then one old man came. There are 2 versions of this Leela. Sometimes there is Leela Bhed, but we have to take the essence. Somebody says it's Vishwakarma, and somebody says there was a sculptor by the name Maharana. So Maharana came and says, my dear king, can I try? And he says, well, all these great sculptors, very strong, they couldn't do anything. But he says, okay, try. Almost to the verge of losing hope. He says, but yes, I will try, but behind closed doors. And nobody should disturb me. And I am going to close the doors. And the moment anybody disturbs me until I finish carving the deities as the Lord within my heart gives me the guidance, I will stop and disappear. 2 weeks went. Nicely, King Indrajumna used to pace outside and hear tip, 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 tip. Work is going on nicely. After 2 weeks, suddenly there was no sound. Many hours passed, no sound. Then his queen, his wife, Mother Gundicha, she told her husband, old man inside the room, maybe he's tired, maybe he didn't water, maybe he is unconscious, maybe something will happen. You have to open the doors and do something. But king says, I promised I would not do that. No, 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 you must do it. So then he broke open the door, and what he saw, no Maharana, that sculptor, all he saw was 4 forms. One was the stamba, that was Sudarshan. And then there were 3 other forms that were unfinished. Hands are like stubs, legs are like stubs, sockets that are round like big eyes, wide mouth. And so King Indrajumna said, what did I do? Why did I listen? Now what will happen? Then King Indrajumna said, King Nilmadhav came. He says, don't worry. These are the forms that I wanted them to appear like that. So now you build a very wonderful big temple and you worship me there. So these are the forms of Lord Jagannath, Baldev, and Subhadra. So this is story number one. Now the theme, I believe, I will end here, that next month again, I think I don't remember what is the date, June something, middle of June, June 22nd or something like that. I will continue with story number two and if possible number three. That will give us a very deep insight of why the form of Lord Jagannath is like this, what is Rath Yatra, and what is the main reason. Because Rath Yatra is there for many, many millions of, because this is mentioned in the Skanda Puran. But the entire, what do you call, the facet or the dimension changed after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And the Rupa Goswamis and our Goswamis, how they explain the inner meaning of Rath Yatra. So next month, we will continue with that. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, Gurudev ki, Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavinda ki.
Big time. It's the questions that we have done. We will follow with that, right? I can proceed with the announcements and then we will conclude with the RP. So this announcement, so Prashadam, let's please stand aloud and go for the